There you go.
See the resemblance?
You know, yeah, really. The reason why I flashed that one up is because, good grief, I look at that, I know straight away it's Felix Cheong, man.
So in another life, probably when we are bitten by zombies and then become zombified, that is probably how I will look.
Where the eyes all turn black and stuff, huh? So this is Ari's work, right?
Yes.
Ooh.
Welcome to the pilot episode of Ink Spill. The Chris Henson conversation have already established for some time our tribute to SG music icons dedicated to musicians as well as broadcast personalities, bar and club owners of the past, present and future. But we've decided that we need to create a new series dedicated to writers of literary works of both fiction, non-fiction, poetry even, and graphic novels. Except for, of course, the self-help kind of books. Not interested. We want to promote reading and writing as part of Singapore culture because I think we're simply not doing enough of those. So if you're a writer with a new publication or you are a budding writer with your first publication, drop me a DM. You should know how to find me. Perhaps we should produce a series for painters and artists and call it Paint Job. Somehow, I don't think that sounds very right. But such a sweetheart he is. Such a nice guy.
He's probably 80-something.
85.
85.
And what a gentleman.
Still lucid.
Very. Sharp as tacks. Is that the right thing? Right euphemism?
Sharp as knife.
Sharp as tacks, right? Tacks.
T-A-C.
Thumbtacks, tacks.
Oh, yeah. Also can.
See, I must be careful,
No need lah.
I have to be careful. I got writers with me. Good grief.
You're also a writer, what?
What? Please
because
you
write intro.
Please
you write questions.
Adoi.
So in a sense, you're a journalist.
Oh, no, I'm not.
Also kind of
My
writer.
sister, if she hears this now, she'll probably be laughing her ass off. Welcome back to the show, to the Chris Henson conversation. I hope you've been enjoying season 5 so far. My guest on this pilot episode of Ink Spill is a best-selling author of 30 books across different genres, from poetry to fiction, from children's picture books to young adult fiction. 2 of his graphic novels, Go Keng Sui, a Singaporean for all seasons. We've talked about that 2 seasons ago. As a matter of fact, we did do an episode on that particular graphic novel. And The Showgirl and The Minister, well, that one sounds saucy, were amongst the top 5 bestsellers in Amazon.sg. He has also written 3 opera librettos, and his works have been widely anthologized and nominated for the prestigious Frank O'Connor Award and the Singapore Literature Prize. Conferred the Young Artists Award in 2000 by the National Arts Council, my guest has been invited to writers' festivals all over the world, such as Edinburgh, Austin, Sydney, and Christchurch. He holds a master's in creative writing and is currently a university adjunct lecturer. His latest graphic novel, Be Real, A Guide to Authenticity, is his 5th collaboration with Arif Rafan. There you go. That's look at it. Gorgeous front cover, man. And he is, ladies and gentlemen, my guest, Felix Cheong.
Thank you very much for inviting me here again.
Yeah, you're welcome, Felix. Now let's take a look at Felix Cheong from the graphic novel. There you go.
See the resemblance?
Yeah, really. The reason why I flashed that one up is because, good grief, I look at that, I know straight away it's Felix Cheong, man.
So in another life, probably when we are bitten by zombies and then become zombified, that is probably how I will look.
Where the eyes all turn black and stuff, huh? So this is Ari's work, right?
Yes.
Right. So this is how he sees how zombies actually look like. I mean, we've seen them all, right? I mean,
we've seen them all.
28 days later, 38 weeks later?
28 weeks later.
28 weeks later.
There's another sequel coming up, 28 years later.
Oh gosh, okay. And then of course the infamous Walking Dead series. Which I got so tired of following after a while. And then the one with Brad Pitt in it.
What was he?
And that one, we got them running at breakneck speed.
Yes. faster than Hussein Bolt.
And of course, the Korean versions, the train from
Oh yeah,
Busan.
Kingdom was very good.
I love the Kingdom.
I love Kingdom.
I love the Kingdom. Wow, freaking scary, man. But I love the story though.
But and I love how they managed to transpose this zombie genre into like a period.
Yeah. Brilliant, huh?
Brilliant.
Yeah, very good
Whoever
idea.
the scriptwriter was.
Love it, man.
Hats off, man.
Yeah, I love it, man. But you know, I'm kind of curious because the title. Okay, first of all, for those of you who are watching, be forewarned for spoilers, okay? Be forewarned. Now, I'm going to be asking quite a number of questions from the author of this graphic novel. Be Real, A Guide to Authenticity, and go buy one, but spoilers. Yeah, it's going to start right now. I particularly want to find out how the hell did you come up with this title, which is really weird because it's a zombie novel.
Yes.
I mean, in broad, it is, right?
So it's counterintuitive because it sounds like a typical title for a self-help book.
Yeah.
Right? Something you pick off the shelves at Kinokuniya or MPH.
Yeah.
And it is not what you expect a zombie novel or graphic novel to sound like.
Precisely.
So, yeah, precisely. So it's counterintuitive. There's no dead or living dead or and the word zombie in it. But because I try to build into this satire, it's actually a very satirical story, how Singaporeans love to read non-fiction, particularly self-help books. So part of the story involves the protagonist, Zachary Kwan, trying to write a self-help book, which later on became kind of hijacked by the publisher to take on another persona, a pseudonym. It's a bit complicated without giving too many spoilers away.
Sure. But Felix, you know, when you said self-help book, sounds like the title of a self-help book. You're right. But you know what I did, which you have not heard yet. This episode of ours is the pilot of my new series called Ink Spill. And there's an introduction for this episode, okay, which you will see once we release this episode, of course. And when I introduce what Ink Spill is all about, and since we're talking about this, I would just say to you that I did mention that we are going to be open for writers, okay, of literary works, inclusive of poetry even, fiction, non-fiction, and graphic novels. But please, if you're doing a self-help book thing, please stay away. And is it, in your mind, is it true that Singaporeans actually go after a lot more of self-help stuff?
Yeah, definitely. If you check out the National Library Board's list of titles that Singaporeans love to read, self-help books usually come out right to the top.
Yeah.
Very near the top.
I mean, okay, we all got to go see Shrinks, I think.
Yes. Well, we are pragmatic people by inclination, so we love to read about how to improve ourselves.
You're so politically correct. Felix Cheong, so always politically correct.
Yes. No, I'm not. This book is politically incorrect.
I know. That's why I got a lot of questions to ask you.
Yes, please fire away. Another 45 minutes.
We are practical people. Oh boy.
We are, aren't we?
I don't know about that. I particularly like this bit though of the title, authenticity. You know why? Because I always publicize this. Can we have that one? Yeah, you see the last bit there? The most authentic conversations in Singapore, man. So it really grabbed me though. Yeah, I like that word.
Yeah. Well, it's been kind of overused. It's become a buzzword.
Has it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Authentic, be real, be yourself, be true. It's become such a buzzword that now it's become bastardized. So, and that was one of the reasons why I incorporated in my story as one of the themes, because I felt that when I studied the zombie genre, and I tried to see how to make it more relevant. Right. Because a zombie book or zombie story is never about zombies per se. Right. There is always an underlying theme that becomes something that's contemporary. Okay. That speaks to your target audience. Right. So I was looking at how cancer culture and zombism have similarities in terms of how they attack something So cancel culture is not anything.
So it's like a mob thing.
It's like a mob thing, exactly. More
Right.
violence.
Right.
It dates back all the way back to Jesus Christ's time,
Right.
when the Pharisees and the Jews
Crucify him.
crucify him. That's more violence.
Right.
And Jesus Christ was cancelled.
Right.
He was crucified. He was cancelled.
Same thing with Shakespeare as well. If you think about Julius Caesar,
Yes.
and after Caesar was assassinated, and how fickle the Roman crowd was, the whole mob there.
Yes.
Once they, at first they were convinced by Brutus. Then after that they got even more convinced by Mark Antony.
Yes.
And fickle as hell.
And they flip.
And they flip. And then there you go, cancel culture.
Yes.
There and then.
So it's something that is not new, just that we gave it a new name, cancel culture, but it's really more violence being channeled into a particular target. But it's also the flip side of idol worship. Because if you look at how girls used to go crazy over Elvis Presley, the Beatles, it's the same kind of euphoria and energy that gets channeled into a particular group, particular target. You also look at how, for example, the BTS army, the moment you say anything bad about any of these boys, that's it.
Same thing about football.
Yeah, same thing about football, whether...
Fans is short for fanatic.
Yes, exactly. I never saw that. That's a nice one.
You never thought of that. Okay, I can be a writer.
Yes,
You wrote aspire to be authentic. And there's this quote that came up. Can we flash that one? Yeah, thank you. Don't worry about being good. Aspire to be authentic. And then it's from this guy named Jan Martel.
Yeah.
Beatrice and Virgil. Sorry, pardon my stupidity or ignorance, man. Who is that real?
Yeah, it's a real
Who
real
the
quote.
hell is Jan Martel?
Jan Martel was the guy who wrote The Life of Pi.
Oh.
It became made into a
Movie.
Oscar-winning movie.
Yeah.
Boy on the boat with a tiger.
So what's your take? Don't worry about being good. Aspire to be authentic.
That's the kind of buzzword of our time that
you missed
everybody
that.
has to be real, authentic. So my book tries to question the whole idea of authenticity.
So basically you're saying that people may not really get the idea of what authenticity truly means.
Not only that, in putting up a authentic self, like you take a selfie without makeup, you flash it on your Instagram, you think it's authentic, but it's really putting up, it's performative, it's a front.
Okay.
It's just telling the world this is my face, but what is the face behind the face?
Okay.
Behind the facade.
So basically, so whatever it is, most things are not real then.
Yeah, I suppose.
Could not be real.
But the whole idea of real is being
Vague.
questioned.
It's vague, right?
It's vague because there are many real selves that we have.
Yeah, different masks.
Different masks that we put on, persona.
Right.
So you can't really question or talk about, this is my real self.
How do you come up with this idea, man? About, this is basically the skeleton of your entire story, right?
Yes, exactly.
Well, what made you come up with that, man? I mean, you really think a lot, man, dude. I mean, come on. I mean, must really be going through, like, wow, I wonder whether or not people are really dude, really?
Well, this is one of those things that I think about on my long bus journeys on the MRT.
So you're always reflecting. You're always reflecting and stuff like that.
Thinking about things like that. And also because when I proposed to Arif Rafan, this was like 3 years ago, was there a type of or a genre of graphic novel he has not done yet he would like to do? He said, I would like to do a graphic novel on zombies. So I started musing about it, exploring the genre and looking at how other people have done it. And then I found there's a little niche here, a little gap that nobody has tried to write about. So I started exploring this idea of turning zombieism into a kind of fanatic mob violence.
Right.
And that was that's the starting point. Back to the title. Interestingly, the whole title was actually contributed by AI, ChatGPT. Strangely enough.
That's not real.
Yeah, that's not real. But the writing, of course, the whole book is real. So I asked ChatGPT to generate a series of titles for me.
Right.
That supposedly about a self-help book about authenticity. And this was one of the ones that it came out with. I thought, that's a cool title for a zombie book. Because it's very different from what you normally would see.
Actually, to be fair, man, as a tool, I use a lot of. I'm giving these people free advertising. I don't use ChatGPT. I use Gemini, Google's Gemini. I prefer Google's Gemini. I mean, I trained the guy so well, you know.
So he knows your.
And I generate titles also through through Gemini, through AI. But interestingly, you're writing. You wrote a book. Let's call it a book for brevity's sake. Yeah. You wrote a book that's about authenticity, but you leaned on artificial intelligence. So there's some kind of irony there, isn't it?
There's irony. There is lots of meta reference, self-referential stuff about the art of writing, the process of writing, and generating ideas.
Right, and it also generated that character in your graphic novel, the one that's. The ghostwriter. The
ghostwriter, yes.
Yeah.
Towards the end, you see actually the process that I went through and Arif and I went through. So that's why towards the end you see a few pages of our
and people
work in
bought
progress.
Into someone that's fake.
I'm fake. I could be fake. I'm not here.
No. I'm saying that ghostwriter, that character, Serafina, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and the mob went crazy.
Oh, the mob, yes, it went crazy.
That's what I meant, man.
Okay.
Don't get me the wrong way.
I thought you were shooting arrows at
No,
me.
I'm not shooting arrows at you, man. That's why I kind of felt that you thought that way. No, I actually meant that the mob, the readers in that book, in your book, that actually went absolutely gaga over her book. Right? Which is not her. She's generated by AI. Right? And they went crazy over someone that isn't real. That's what I meant. I think that was a very nice plot twist. Really? No, that's what I meant, man. Oh, jeez.
Okay. Nothing personal.
No, of course, I'm not here to be personal. But I realized Arif did a great job in the graphics, man. I love the graphics. But compared to the last graphic novel that we talked with you on my show, with Sinan, and looking at his illustrations and how his artwork looks like versus Arif's, why the stark difference? Why did you? Sorry, I'm not trying to stir any crap here, but the graphics for Go King Sui's book, A Man for All Seasons, versus this one, starkly different. Did you deliberately choose to make the graphics different for this particular book?
I pretty much left it to Arif to do the artwork.
Right.
So I let him, free reign, whatever he saw fit to illustrate. It was really up to him, his vision, his artistic vision.
Right.
Although we did talk about some of the artwork, the style before he started drawing the whole book. Right. So he would show me some sketches and say, I love this. I think.
I mean, I'm not trying to stir any sort of pot here, because you can go, like for me, if I go for get new ink done, right? If there's a specific kind of style or genre of ink that I want or design I want on my body, I will go to the artist that does stuff that way, that specializes in that particular kind of art. So that's hence my question. Was there a reason for you, wanting to have a different form of art for this particular effort? Well,
with Sinan, I think his speciality and the way that he draws is very traditional.
Right.
And he's good with portraying real people. And that's why I went to him. And he does a lot of meticulous research.
So there are specific reasons why then.
There are specific reasons, although I feel Arif can also do the same if I were to pass him the project on Go King
But the feel will be different.
The feel will be different.
Yeah.
But for him, I think his style is a lot more contemporary and less imposed by the panels, because if you look at the way Sinan draws, he follows a very strict grid in terms of how he formulates the page and designs the page.
It's like your old Commando comics and stuff. Yes. That kind of traditional format.
So if I were to do something more historical, I would go to him.
Right.
He will be my go-to guy.
Right.
In fact, my next 2 graphic novels will be done by him.
Right.
Whereas with Arif, I think his feel and his artistic inclination, his bent, I think is a lot more contemporary, less constrained by
more DC kind of style. DC, not really Marvel, but more DC
more
style.
DC, yes.
Yeah, it seems that way. When I flip the first couple of pages, it does seem that way.
Yeah, and he likes to break out the panel,
right?
And he likes to do funky things, with splashes and double spreads and so on.
The main character in your book, Zachary Tang, who is he?
He's the sum total of all the writers that you've ever met or never read. And a bit of myself, of course.
Okay. Everything seems to be a bit of you. Even for the last book, The Go King Sweet Man for All Seasons, some of the characters in there is based on you, right?
Yes.
I remember that.
Yes.
And this one as well. So is this a writer thing? When you get into your internal monologue and then you start writing stuff and then you can't help but to just look at yourself?
I suppose, because the starting point is always you are the writer. So whatever experience or hang-ups or bad experiences, good experiences, happiness, sadness, whatever you've had in your life filters through in your writing.
Right.
Whether you're conscious of it or not. Some writers are conscious of it, some writers are not.
Okay.
So I guess, as they say, don't make friends with writers because you may end up being cast as characters in their books.
Oh, crap.
So it's true. Some of the characters that you see in my books are aspects of people that I know or aspects of myself.
Oh.
More importantly, I think for the main character, I need to empathize with the character.
Right.
Otherwise, I can't write him in a way that is true. That word again, true, authentic. So I need to find an entry point into his personality.
Okay, now that you say that psyche, part of it has you in it, of course, as you just elaborated, right? Now, this is where I come to this little cheeky part here. Can we flash the first pick of you know what now, Kai, right?
This?
Man About Town?
What about Man About Town?
That one. There you go. Interestingly, I've got because that's too small for me so I have it on my phone. And it says about the urban male, emasculated and nailed. None more so than your latest Man About Town. You talking about who? You?
No, of course not. That's something out of, say, Fight Club.
Okay. Fight Club.
Fight Club, because the whole story of Fight Club is about the emasculated male,
right?
Trying to get back his masculinity,
right?
He's been screwing around the scene for quite a while, and
something I didn't expect. Okay, call me a noob, yeah. I didn't expect coming from you, man. A satire about the existential. What? Ennui. Okay.
Ennui.
Of a writer who's been around. With women of all shapes and in all, I love the graphics. I mean, all shapes. I mean, I can really see the difference here, man. All shapes and in all positions. Whom he rates by their political convictions. And then, wow, and the length of their orgasms. And I was like,
there should be an NC-16.
And I was going, Felix Cheong. And then he goes on to the next page. He says, regardless if it's fake or the real thing, he even hooks up with a gender fluid person. I mean, that's more like modern times now, right?
Yeah.
Who breaks him out of his straight-laced prison. And after the carousel of flings, he marries a model half his age.
Well, again, he plays
quite risky, are you?
A bit lah. But not too much. Not too much to get me banned or cancelled or censored.
It's kind of, it really caught my attention, I can tell you that much. Okay. And I was going, hey, Felix Cheong, where is this going now? And he kept me flipping lah.
Which is good. So I've created a page turner.
Yeah, you did. I gotta admit. So, and it's...
How long did it take you to finish the book? An hour?
No, not at all. I had to go through this for the purpose of today, right? I had to go through. It took me maybe about 15, 20 minutes.
Oh, that's fast.
Yeah. I had to go breeze it right through, but doesn't mean I didn't really think through whatever I read. And you wrote this predominantly in verse.
Again, yes, like the one with Goh Keng Swee, I wrote it in verse. I think as we talked about before the last time we met, I believe in trying to smuggle poetry into my writing. So whether it's a graphic novel or children's picture book, because I find it is my own natural voice as a writer.
Okay. Don't you worry sometimes? I know we talked about it before, but don't you worry sometimes that your readers might not be so sophisticated?
I think as they're reading the story, kind of pulls them along. So they're not so concerned whether it rhymes or maybe they don't even realize it rhymes. So the rhyming part maybe comes like an afterthought.
Right.
So as they're reading, the story pulls them along. What's this character doing? What's happening? Oh, this is so exciting. I want to turn the next page.
Sure. But wouldn't you be concerned still that maybe, and I'm being an asshole when I say this, 70% of the public space might not really understand?
Well, poetry is in many of the songs that we are familiar with, we grew up with.
Yeah.
For example, take Bob Dylan, the Beatles,
sure.
Even Taylor Swift. So it's not anything extraordinary. It's just putting it on the page.
I'm still standing by my guns on that, man, because I know we talked about this before, you know. What you just said is so familiar to me. But and frankly, I just feel it when I was reading this, would people understand? That was my take, you know. I mean, I understand being a student of literature, at least in school. You get some kind of basic foundation, you know. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's still, you know, something very unusual to me to have verse included in graphic novels. You know, just imagine if I'm reading DC and I'm reading Marvel and I'm going, yeah.
But wouldn't that make you sit up and take notice if it's written in verse?
No, of course. Because, like I said, it's because I have some basic foundation, you know. But for those who don't have it, and nowadays, I mean, look, the reason for ink spill, man, come on. It's because it is not reading and writing is really departed from culture as far as Singaporeans are concerned. You know, besides literature, of course, it's history also. You know, it's taken a nosedive.
Yes,
right.
Much.
Yeah. So and that's why I'm trying to still encourage people, pick up a book, read it. You know, even if it's going to be a graphic novel, let's call it a comic. Yeah, pick the damn thing up, read it.
But not a self-help book.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Bloody hell. That one you can go on YouTube lah. Yeah. So it's still, that is still something that's a concern to me lah. You know, I mean, every time I see something like this and I go, you know, this is really fun. It is, to me, it's fun. I enjoyed it. I did. Yeah. Though I have some questions to ask you.
Yeah, please.
But some parts of the book that I just don't get. Call me stupid. Okay. The cancel culture thing you mentioned about the woke movement, we talked about that already. But this thing about Zachary's wife, the va-va-va-voom,
yes,
and the part about Chanel versus Chanel, I mean, God, it really hit home, man. Because it's so real here, don't you think? Okay, let me just give you guys an idea without giving up too many spoilers. You probably don't understand the context. Let me give you some context. Some people, I mean, inside Felix's new book, there was this argument between the main character and his wife. And it was, just simply put, it's over to term the brand name Chanel, which she pronounces it as Channel. And that is quite relatable, don't you think? I mean, there's so many things. I mean, come on, man. We've got Louis Vuitton. We've got G&G. Right?
Prata.
And all of Prata. And we've got people who just cannot pronounce French. Sometimes Italian as well. And that's kind of real because it's relatable. But I gotta say, you gotta give Arif well done on this because she's a babe.
She is a babe.
Can we please put her back up again, Kai? What a babe. And you know, and I looked at that picture and I said, hang on, before I even discovered it, in the next page or so, that's a Eurasian girl.
Yes.
I knew it straight away.
Yes. She was meant to be a Eurasian girl.
I know, but without even, him spilling his guts about a Eurasian girl, the wife being Eurasian. I looked at her picture and I looked at that drawing and I went, good grief, that's a Eurasian girl. Straight away, and I knew great stuff, man. I was going, whoa, hot babe.
Hot babe.
Hot babe, man. I mean, whoa.
But she has fake boobs.
I don't care. Hot babe.
Well, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, because throughout the whole book, I was trying to smuggle.
It's fake. It's fake. I know. It's not real.
Yes.
Them boobs are fake.
So there are always aspects of the book as the story unfolds in which you have to question what is real, what is not. Is this real? Is this not? Is this fake? Is this not? So it keeps you on your toes as you're reading the story.
Yeah. And earlier on in the story, Zachary was under fire, right? By cancel culture, by some woke women, right? Apparently feminists.
Yep.
Or so-called feminists. Are they real feminists? Are they not or feminists who misunderstand what true feminism means? We don't know, right? Again,
we're going into cancel culture here.
Correct? Yeah. It's like, look, man, faulty.
What you say.
No, I don't give a shit, because look, Faulty Towers.
Yes.
They're being cancelled.
Yes.
Little Britain. They're being cancelled. Are you shitting me? We got this crazy bunch of woke people in the UK going after great stuff where people used to be able to laugh at themselves. Where we see, and I tell you, I deliberately go out there and I look for snippets of classic British comedy that completely breaks the rules of what society think ought to be avoided today. You know? And I look and I watch these snippets, and I tell you, to me, right, they're awesome.
Still
clever.
Funny as hell.
Yeah.
Still funny as hell. I think we have lost the capacity to laugh at ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we become too bubble wrap. You know, all these sensitivities, cannot say this, cannot say that, cannot do this, cannot do that. We become too bubble wrap in this whole PC culture, politically correct culture. So everything has to be, give a light touch so as not to offend.
Yeah.
So it takes the sting away from a lot of the comedy that we grew up with. For example, a couple of friends and I were chatting about Mind Your Language. That series would be cancelled
immediately, man.
The first episode
they'll say it's racist, they'll say this and that.
But we grew up with it. Did we become racist?
No.
Right?
I don't think we're racist.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when I think about this in Singapore's context, right? When I sit at a coffee shop, who are the friends around me, man? We've got Chindians, we've got Indians, we've got Malays, we've got Malay Indonesian, we've got Hainanese, we've got Hokkien, we've Cantonese. We're all seated together. You know, we have Eurasian mix, right? We all seated around and we're ribbing each other. But you know what? I mean, my generation, at least, and the ones before mine, we're okay.
Yeah, we're okay with it.
Yeah, and we don't take things too seriously. We don't take ourselves so seriously. And I think that's a problem today. People don't understand this. Look, come on, there's a fine line here. I mean, it's a fine line, no doubt. But draw that line. You don't need to really... If we talk about racism, it's about when we look at society, to me, it's like, do you have tolerance when you have a Malay wedding dancers and kompang playing and you go and complain? Lion dance coming out playing and then some other lot go and complain. Why? We used to instead what we should be doing is to go out there and congratulate people, you know, or send blessings and wishes, right? We never used to mind these things. Why are we minding them now? To me, that is what you should be more concerned about. It is not about that this program is too racist. I don't see why we should draw these sort of parameters. It's just not right.
And I'm also against this whole movement to backtrack into the past, into our cultural landmarks. And then start putting disclaimers on many of these films, like say Gone with the Wind. Put all these disclaimers on breakfast at Tiffany's.
Yeah.
They were such cultural landmarks of our time.
Yeah, and you can't change history. This is what
You can't change history. You can't change the context from
we have to
which
learn
it's
from it. Yeah, we don't erase them.
Don't erase them.
Yeah, it's as good as, okay, now that we are not on this topic though, if we look at ancient history, even if we look at, okay, this is going to be a bit crazy. When we look at a pharaoh, Akhenaten, okay, for those of you who don't know, Pharaoh and his wife was Nefertiti. These are parents of the famous King Tut, Tutankhamun. He wanted to start at that time because they are polytheistic race, religiously, right? Multiple gods. He came and he said, no, there can only be one god, and that's the sun god Ra. And he created a religious revolution amongst the ancient Egyptians of his time. And of course, he angered a lot of people, right? We don't know whether he was murdered. I suppose he was. And then of course, they put a young 12-year-old boy to be the next pharaoh. But they chipped off Akhenaten's name and his wife Nefertiti's name off as many hieroglyphs as they could to erase them from history. Have they been erased? No. And we lament about, hey, they shouldn't have done that, I mean, it happened, right? It's when, like, a couple of years ago, I don't know how long ago, couple of decades ago, when the Japanese government tried to erase the Second War and their involvement from their school history books. And the world clamored against that. Is that right or wrong? I think, come on, it happened. You can't change what you did. You can't do that. We can't just erase things so, conveniently, right? Same thing here. You've got Little Britain. We enjoyed it then. You may not like it now. Don't force it down everyone else's throat. That's not right.
So that brings us back to the whole idea of more violence now, but it's now being perpetuated a lot more because of social media.
Yep.
It has a lot more power to galvanize people, but also for them to jump on the bandwagon, because then it becomes a greater force when you have people from the US, from UK, Australia, Singapore coming together, and they think they are powerful with one voice trying to cancel something or tell you, okay, this is not right. So I think part of the book kind of plays on this particular theme.
So you have an opinion about this then?
Yeah, I have a very strong opinion about this. Yeah,
you really don't like this wokeism and cancel culture shit, right?
Well, I think it's taken to extremes already.
Yeah, too many Karens out there.
Too many
Sorry,
Karen.
The male parts are the male version of it is called Kevin. Sorry, Kevins.
Or is it Ken?
I don't know. I came up with Kevin. whoever the hell came up with Karen, I don't know, man. I mean, but the zombie element, man. That collective hive thing, that hive mind thing. Of course, we know now, of course, what you meant, what it portrays would be against wokeism, cancel culture, and it's all a bunch of people coming together and getting ugly as shit, right? But does it also represent rage?
Yeah, it's rage.
Because of the violence.
Yes. So it's rage being channeled towards a particular end goal, which is targeting at a particular person, particular organization. So it's it's like very much like the way a zombie comes at you, like World War Z at the speed of sound.
Okay, so it's that. So wouldn't it? I mean, to me, the way I see it is maybe, just maybe, these days people are just more filled with rage than before.
It could be rage that somehow scrolling through your social media, you kind of feel it, but it is not. It's an imagined rage.
Oh, okay.
It's not really real.
It's conjured.
It's conjured because you look at somebody else's post, then you get stirred or triggered because someone said something. But a lot of times, most of these people who are triggered, they don't read the subtext and nuance. They read the headlines and then they get, oh my God, can you believe this? So they fall into victims of clickbait posts.
Right.
So they don't go in depth into understanding something. It is very superficial.
Right.
It is at that level of the headline or the tagline or the hashtag. And that becomes a way for them to become keyboard warriors.
So people don't really find out the context behind things.
No context.
Because
no
they don't even
history.
bother to read the content.
Yeah.
Right?
No content, no context.
So, read lah, read. Don't just read for fun and scroll down. This TikTok thing is killing everyone. It's true.
It's true.
Yeah. I tell you, I really don't encourage this short video kind of thing because, come on, I have no time. I got no time. It's mindless. Yeah, mindless. That's what you become, zombie lah.
Yes, exactly.
So I always say, when people on the phone, when they're having dinner on their phones, zombie apocalypse. There you go. Yeah, it's exactly what I understand from what what you're trying to, what you've achieved here. But I want to discover this bit because it confused me a bit. The main character, Zachary, he became, I don't know how he became patient zero, so to speak. Yeah. I don't want to let go too many spoilers. He got bit by this hot ex-girlfriend of his.
Who's a reporter?
Yeah, who's a reporter, right? Well, I didn't get that bit, Did she really bite him?
Well, it was initially a love bite, but then later on, she betrayed him.
Yeah, I know that. No. Let's stick to that bite thing.
Okay. The bite thing, the love bite.
Love bite. It seemed like a love bite to me, man. It didn't look like, honestly, really, I was looking at that picture, that graphic. I said, she bit the guy. It didn't seem like a love bite because of her eyes. The way her eyes were going, it looked, come on, she looked possessed.
She looked possessed.
And to me, I thought she bit him. So
But
was that a bite or a love bite? Confirm for me, please. Shoving me up the wall.
It's both. Why can't a bite be a love bite and vice versa?
Yeah, but she didn't pass that.
She didn't pass him the virus.
Yeah.
So the way I constructed the story, the premise was that he became Zachary Kwan became patient zero because of this whole internal rage that he had boiling in him. His wife died because of an overdose of drugs. The ex-girlfriend, secretly recorded their tryst at her funeral, and then later on published an article about him not caring for her, letting her.
Yeah, screwed him over basically.
Screw him over.
Yeah.
And so he was filled with rage and he went out, did something to a dog in an alley, and I suppose the dog kind of transferred some viral thing into him.
Okay, yeah. So that that's where I got confused because I know he went to sink his teeth into a dog, right? And that's where I think that's where he got it. But what about that girl sinking her teeth into his neck? So that's where I got confused.
So she gave him the impetus for the whole thing about be real, because before she bit him, she said something like, be real, be yourself, be true.
Yeah, that's what she said, yeah.
Write about what you know.
Yeah.
So I think that the biting and the message that she gave him kind of became...
It became a buzzword for him.
Yes.
Yeah. A kind of a key word. That's why everywhere he went, he was going, be real, be real, be
yes.
real. Anyway, that girl, hot babe too. I can tell that she's Chinese. Okay.
So many spoilers, huh?
No. Yeah. But yeah, sorry about that, man. But at least you get some context, right? When you go through now, when you do buy the book and have a look through, and what's with the her and tap. That one I got lost, man. I'm sorry.
Tap. I suppose is the sound effect of him running.
Yeah. That one I get, but the her.
I think it's.
Okay. Chris, you're such a dingbat. Okay. Because it was almost everywhere, man.
Yes, is it zombie? The sound.
Yeah, I know. It's just that I was really trying. It didn't really. I'm sorry, but I couldn't relate to what it was trying. The audio that it was trying to describe. I couldn't relate to that. Sorry, man. And Kinokuniya.
Yes.
Everyone started going to Kinokuniya. That's about to close or get smaller.
Yes, quite appropriate now. I mean,
Did you know that they were downsizing? Then
no, at
you
all.
didn't.
I didn't. So it's just coincidental that just at the point when this book is published and out in the market, Kinokuniya announces there's downsizing.
Yeah, for people who love books, who love buying and reading books, right? I think Kinokuniya is the last bastion of bookstores. Right? And then now they're downsizing. Then I saw this and I went, bloody hell, that's pretty smart, man. I figured that you were trying to, tell people, look, all of a sudden people want to read books. Yes. And they're all converging
just
on
for
Kinokuniya.
context, the beginning of the story, the prologue, and then the end of the story, are both set in Kinokuniya.
Yeah.
The one at Ngee Ann City.
Yeah. It's so wonderful because it really looks like Kinokuniya.
Yes.
From Ngee Ann City. And Ngee Ann City is in the backdrop as well.
Yes.
In parts of the illustrations. But the thing is, I was just thinking, hey, hordes of people going gaga over buying a book rather than for a labubu. So that's quite a good thing.
And Singaporeans have this strange habit of romanticizing a place after it's closed. Or, let's say a restaurant or a bookstore that you like, but you haven't visited for yonks. And then when it closes, there's this lamentation that goes on in social media. But why didn't you do something about it? Why didn't you go there to patronize the place before it closes?
Exactly. And I felt it was actually, in fact, I just kept staring at that, those few panels of Kinokuniya, they're running into it, and he's already inside, right? He's hiding. And I'm thinking, shit, man, this is so good. Because, hey, we love to see bookstores being crowded again. I remember in those years when Borders were...
Borders, I love Borders.
Yeah, man, me too, man. I mean, you can spend half a day in Borders, and the place is always packed. It was a wonderful thing when nobody gives a shit these days. And, just to see that, it's...
Just to feel the buzz again.
Yeah, and just to see...
buzz about it.
Yeah, to see... Even if, just reading it in a book, in a comic, and you see people running there to go, I'm going to go to Kinokuniya, you got to buy me that book, blah, blah, blah. And it was quite marvelous to see, to be honest with you. It did leave a little impression on me. The ending leaves room for interpretation. Is that deliberate?
Yes, it was deliberate. I think...
What's your intended takeaway for readers?
The intended takeaway was for readers to look at themselves and think about, are they real to themselves, or what does being real mean to you? Yeah,
right. What does being real mean to you? Okay. I felt that perhaps there's going to be a part 2.
Well, not in the work. not at the moment. I think I've done what I can with the story.
Right.
There isn't a part 2 somewhere in my head yet. But I suppose if Penguin approaches me, Penguin's the publisher. Yeah. If they approach me and say, I think there's a possibility for a sequel, then maybe I'll think about it.
Okay, Penguin. Sequel. Done. Okay, done.
Or if a film company were to approach me and say, we're going to pay you this amount of money, turn this into a short film or movie or feature-length film, yeah, why not?
Yeah, actually, why not? Yeah, I think it could work. Especially in the Singapore context. It's not a bad idea. Hey, Netflix, Amazon. Okay, there you go. The setting of Singapore, particularly Ngee Ann City. Kinokuniya is there, we know that, right? And you use the cranberries.
What's in your head? In your head? In your head.
When I was reading it, and I was actually singing along. In your head. I was, And then, lagi best, Eurasian girl, St. Joseph's Church, Portuguese church, the Eurasian church. And also, it was very beautifully done, I gotta tell you. And that's the new one after the renovations, right? Also in there. And this is the kicker, man, the NDP rally. That PM did not look like Lawrence.
No. Well, this is set in some time in the future, so it's probably Lawrence's next
okay. Successor.
Next.
But that guy who was depicted as Singapore's Prime Minister, where do you get the I mean, the drawing, how he looks
I
like.
left that up to...
What was in his head that you don't know? You didn't ask him?
I suppose he will probably be thinking about some bureaucratic looking person. Someone who looks, very nicely polished, but maybe not the real self.
Yeah. And it was so classic because, at these NDP rallies, right? PMs, well, these are the last few, like to point out, well, even Lawrence did this year. Last year. Pointed out, people in industry, Singaporeans who built businesses or done some stuff. And in this book, it follows along the same vein. So you can relate to that as well. I found it very fun. All these things were quite fun for me, Moving on, what was your intention in blending social commentary, satire, and horror?
Well, it's a combustible combination, these three things. And I was trying to find, can I do this? Can I make it all work, come together? Yeah.
Like you put verse. How does the whole operation happen, man? You write, he draws. Or does he draw and then you write?
Well, the script usually comes first, the manuscript. So I would conjure the story, I would type everything in screenplay format.
Right.
Of course, I would bounce certain ideas.
In screenplay format. Yeah. Okay.
Usually I write it as a screenplay. So I bounce ideas off him and ask him, do you think this works? Can I try this? Then he would tell me if he can draw it.
Right. Okay.
So then I would write. This manuscript, I think, took me about 3 to 4 months to come together, to bring it all together, because I was trying to put 2 and 2 to make 5 and all these different elements, like you said, horror, satire, as well as verse.
Yeah.
But eventually it came together pretty much.
So, because I'm curious, because I asked the same thing about musicians who write. Which came first, the lyrics or the tauges?
Sometimes it can be both, right?
Yeah, but tauge first and the lyrics, So, or tune in your head, then they start writing, composing first, then they write. But for writers, I mean, I just want to find out what, how do you, like you, for example, how do you operate, So now I know. So you do it in a screenplay format. Then after that, you give it over to the illustrator. He takes a look and tells you what can be done, what cannot be done, and you adjust accordingly. Yeah. Okay.
And then sometimes along the way, I'll make tweaks. For example, at one point, Aviv was telling me, he didn't really identify with Zachary Kwan. He felt there was nothing likable about the character. So he was asking me, can you try to tweak his character a little bit so that he's likable in some way?
Right.
Then I talk about it. Okay, maybe I try this. So I did a few tweaks and revisions, and then I send the manuscript back to him. Okay.
But this is you gotta be discussing with him over Zoom and over
usually WhatsApp.
Okay, so that's not
occasionally we'll meet on Zoom.
It's not easy to do either, man, because he's based in Malaysia, right? Yeah. Okay. How do you hope Be Real will contribute to conversations about authenticity, cancel culture, and the role of art in society? Do you think satire can play an effective role?
I suppose satire, in fact, if you follow most of my works, I satirize a lot.
Yeah.
I use satire as a vehicle for most of my expressions. I think satire allows you to laugh at something or a problem. Then after the laughter dies down, then you realize this could be me. This could be me in that particular situation.
Right.
So then you start reflecting. And that's the whole idea of using satire as a vehicle. Because if I portray it realistically, people may not get it that, after the story has ended, they may not see themselves in it.
Okay. What are you working on next, Felix?
Currently, I have 2 books that are upcoming. So one is graphic novel, which I'm working with 2 Indian illustrators in India, in Mumbai. It's about the Koro syndrome.
Oh, K-O-R-O, Koro.
Yes.
Koro syndrome,
do you know anything about that?
Oh, yes, I do. I remember when I was young, actually, my grandmother told me about this, and my dad also talked about it very briefly. It's about this rumor going around Singapore that amongst men that dicks are getting smaller. But but I remember my dad saying it wasn't about dicks getting smaller. It's about losing the jewels.
Yes. The jewels kind of shrink
back in.
Body,
back in. Yeah. And that, and I mean, that thing, jewels going back in is quite a reality, by the way. Especially amongst young children, from some boys, I know of some that they had got this is distended. I think the term is, yeah. So Koro, it's I think maybe there's some truth in it.
There's some truth in it, although there's also a lot of superstition around it. A lot of old wives' tale. So this particular phenomenon happened in 1967.
Right.
Apparently, more than 500 men, there was a rumor going around at that time that eating the pork of vaccinated pigs would make your
dick disappear.
Disappear, so to speak. So there was a mass hysteria and that sent 500 men into the A&E at the SGH and Tan Tock Seng.
So was this, no, that's true account?
That's a true account.
That's true account.
Go and Google it. I'm not making this up.
So did they get the dicks back?
Well, they tried all kinds of ways to tie the dick before.
Oh, wait. No, don't spoil it because you haven't written it yet. But do me a favor, will you? Especially when you're planning it, come back and tell me what happened to those 5 guys. Did they get the dicks back?
No, 500. More than 500 men.
500?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
More than 500 men went to the A&E.
No, they went to the A&E, but did they really have the problem?
No, it's actually
precisely. But there anyone that actually had the problem?
No, not on record.
Okay, all right. Shucks. I heard 5 guys actually had that.
500.
Oh, okay.
500. That's one of the stories I'm working on.
I can do the voiceover for you, man, for that one. You wake up one morning. You pull the sheets down. You look below. It's gone.
It was there last night.
I went to bed. It went to bed with me. I woke up. It wasn't there.
Neither was she.
I've got to lodge a police report. Missing person.
Missing member of my family.
I've lost my brother. Dick is lost.
Good one.
I tell you, I do it for you, man. If you want to make it funny, I'll do it for you.
Well, so that's one of the graphic novels I'm working on. The other one is on the anti-opium movement back in 1905, 1906.
Right.
So it's a little known fact that Dr. Lim Boon Keng, Boon Keng Station, Upper Boon Keng
Street,
Boon Keng Street. He was involved in the whole anti-opium movement back in the day, together with Ing Swek Chuan, who was the father of Leslie Charteris.
Oh, the writer. The saint.
The saint.
Yeah, wow.
So he was the father. Did you know that?
No.
Leslie Charteris was actually Singaporean.
You're shitting me.
No, this is one of those rare...
The guy who wrote Simon Templar, the saint.
Yeah. He was Eurasian.
Holy shit.
His mother was English, and then his father was a medical doctor, Chinese medical doctor in Singapore.
But why Charteris?
He decided to change his name as a pseudonym because he also felt that if he took on an English name, his books would sell better.
Well, that's true.
And that's true. But at that point, again, context, right? At that point in time, it was true.
Yeah, we were getting cancelled. Yeah.
And then sometime in his youth, he decided to move to England.
Right.
And I think he only came back to Singapore once.
Oh, it's interesting, man.
So Ing Swek Chuan, his father, and Lim Boon Keng started this whole movement against opium.
The
opium at the time was legal. And in fact, the colonial government back then, I think half their revenue came from the sale of opium.
Well, I mean, they were the ones who got most of old China addicted.
Yes.
The Anglo-Chinese War, 1839 to 1842.
The whole Opium War thing.
Yeah, the Opium War. Yeah, Opium War. I mean, that's how they got control, when you just turn these guys into addicts. Yeah, I remember we did have that problem, with opium dens and stuff like that. And I think it went on for quite some time. I
think even in the 50s.
Because my dad was a cop during the 50s. And he did tell me that there were opium dens, man.
Still.
Yeah.
Even with the government cracking down on open
Yeah.
minds.
It went on for quite a bit.
Mhm.
It did. I think I think that's the reason why when we gained our independence, our government got so hard about drugs, because the government of the day, our government of the day, when we turned independent, probably Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew, the late Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, and of course his cabinet ministers and the people in his in Parliament then probably knew all this. They saw all this happening from the time that they were young, right, during the colonial days, and I guess they also know that this is an evil, man. You just can't let it go on.
We need to eradicate.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. Anyway. Yeah. So great. I'm looking forward to those, man. Make sure you spill your ink here as well. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
That didn't sound right.
If you invite me back.
Of course I will. This is the third time you're actually in studio with me, man. The first time was with the book I collaborated with you, remember?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's
in
right.
the other podcast. Yeah,
Yes.
Letter to My Son. And then of course the one with Go King Sweet, you were here with Sinan. And then now this one, right? Be Real.
Thank you so much.
No, at all. Thank you for being here, man. I really hope I didn't spoil things for you. I'd like to end this way, Felix. Let's slide that in, please, Kai. Thank you. There you go, everyone. Be Real, a guide to authenticity. That's what it's all about. You've heard what we've got to say. And look at the zombie thing. Look at it as a horror story. It's going to be more fun that way, in my opinion. Grab your copy of Be Real, a guide to authenticity for only $21.69. Available at Kinokuniya and the Book Bar. You can also shop online at kinokuniya.com.sg as well as at amazon.sg. Make sure you grab a zombie copy today. Thanks for watching, everybody. The first pilot episode of Ink Spill. And thank you, Felix, again for being with us. Continue watching season 5. We still got a couple more episodes to go before we take a season break. This is Chris Henson. Bye-bye.
Chris Henson Conversation. No scripts, no filters, just real talk. The most authentic conversations in Singapore.